see me and wonder why I shop at the Bond so much. That's my job. I know every piece of merchandise in that store. You may be asking yourself, who steals? Let me tell you, everyone steals. No matter how old you are, how young you are. I've caught people in their 80s and 9-year-olds. So there's a wide range. And it's kind of hard to judge someone by their clothing if they're going to steal or not. I mean, people come in dressed really nice. People come in dressed like slobs. You just have to watch what they're doing and just kind of have a sense as to what they're doing with their hands, and if they're looking around a lot, if they want help from a salesperson, or if they don't want help. Usually they don't want help. They need a lot of elbow room. And I'm here to show you how to shoplift successfully. Don't ever be fooled by the size of someone's purse. I was going to show you a small handbag, and these are really popular right now, and all the girls are carrying them. And you might think that, oh gee, you can't get much in this, but you actually can get quite a bit of stuff in here. And a lot of times they think, are the young 16-year-olds, or it's mostly the younger girls, they'll come in with their jogging suit on and their wallet. Gee, I'm not going to take a thing. All I have is my wallet. Well, lo and behold, they'll go in the fitting room, put two outfits on, put their jogging suit back on. They walk out with their wallet in their hand, and they think that nobody's watching them or that they're not going to get caught. But a lot of times they'll go to the cosmetics department, they'll get a bottle of cologne. You can pay for anything in any department at the Bond, which is a joy. They'll take a bottle of fragrance from the fragrance department. They'll go to try on some clothes. Take the bottle of fragrance out of the box. A lot of the fragrances come in boxes, some of them don't. You can actually, there's a little spray thing in the way. Take the bottle of fragrance out of the box, put it in their handbag. This is the $35 bottle of fragrance. Come out of the fitting room, decide they don't want the fragrance, and go put it back. We find a lot of empty boxes. Another good trick is earrings. These earrings are $6. These earrings are $44. Why not just put the $44 earrings on the $6 card, take them to Missy Sportswear, and have Elsie ring them up, who has no idea that these are $44 earrings on a $6 card. And then when the department manager's looking around at her earrings, she figures out there's a $6 pair of earrings on a $44 card. So that's a way of stealing small things. Anything that can be palmed or put in your hand, they'll use Coke cups. They'll come in with, a latte or whatever, go right to the jewelry counter, and, before you know it, it's in their coffee. They don't care. Walk around the store, they'll keep drinking their coffee. And, they'll leave the store with it in their cup, just anything that they can get it into. One thing the Bond uses is plastic bags, and plastic bags are pretty easy. This happens to be a big one because I brought all this merchandise in here, and it's a little crinkly, but we do have smaller bags, and they're plastic. And if ever anyone comes into your store, not necessarily with a Bond bag, but any plastic bag, any plastic bag, I mean, things fall right in here, and they don't make a lot of noise. Paper makes a lot of noise. If you have a big paper sack, and it's rolled up, like, when you buy something that's like this, it's going to make a lot of noise for them to get this unwrapped. And I wish all our bags were paper. To get something in here, I mean, you can hear them inside a fitting room opening a paper sack, or you can, they'll be standing behind a rack and try and open a paper sack, and it makes way too much noise for them. So shoplifters really like plastic bags, and they like those plastic bags that you get at the grocery store. They're kind of crinkly, but they have quite openings on them, and you can just drop stuff right down in them. Another thing that's a real problem is this is how I would shoplift if I was going to shoplift. I'd go buy this comforter is $49.99. It's on sale right now, and I'd buy this on the second floor. They'll either put it in a bag, a big bag like this, or they'll put it. A receipt on it. Oh, that's a safety thing. They're safe now. They have a receipt for this. And they're shopping. They'll go downstairs to the first floor. Now they're really going to start shopping. And they'll take all their clothes in the fitting room. Let me grab these. They'll grab clothes. I've had this happen several times. And before you know it, they'll take items into the fitting room. They have their comforter, that's paid for, so they're all right. Where's the zipper thing on this? Nothing fit. They still have their receipt taped to the front of their comforter, so they're feeling real confident. You have to pretty much know what they've taken into the fitting room to keep track of what they're taking, and then they're off. Tomorrow they bring back the comforter, we return it, credit their account, whatever, and they have 2 new outfits for free. And they'll go over and get bra and panties. These are a hot item too. Calvin Klein, they love this. And this can actually, if you took this off the hangers, you could actually put this in the front pocket of your jeans and no one would know it was there. But they'll get they're going to try this on with a dress, and they need to take this with them. So they'll leave that department, and then they'll go over to another department and say, gee, I like this blouse. And then it's like, oh gosh, these pants are $109. I like these too. Might as well get a vest to go with it. Gee, I might need a new shirt. And then, gosh, my mom might like this. Anybody do this? Then they go in the fitting room. You don't know what they have. I know what they have because I've watched them gather everything up. And before you know it, they'll come out and they'll have maybe 1 or 2 items and everything else has been concealed in a handbag. I mean, it doesn't matter really what size their handbag is. I mean, you can get a lot of stuff in a little purse like this. And you can get a whole lot of stuff in a purse like this. You could get quite a bit in here. So you need to watch for when someone comes into your place that you work, where are they going to put it? They have to have some place to put it. If they walk in a sports bra and spandex shorts, there's not much place to, I usually don't waste my time. I'll go for someone that's wearing a jogging suit, a big bag, a little purse, a wallet in their hand. That's a dead giveaway. Bags, any kind of bag. I've had people come in with no bags and they have all their bags tucked around the pants of their waistband of their pants. And then when they come out of the fitting room, wow, they have all these bags that they didn't go in with. And they'll bag it up while they're in there. So there's all kinds of ways. And when you go back to work today, walk into your store and say, gee, I'm going to steal from here today. How would you do it? I mean, that's what I do. I walk in the store and think, I'm going to steal something from this department. How would I do it? Are they going to steal when there's 25 people standing around? Are they going to steal if there's only 10 people? Are you the only one working that day? Are you waiting on someone at the cash register? The best thing to do is acknowledge that person when they walk in that door. Hi, how are you? I'll be with you in a minute. They now know that you're in there. And you know they're in there. And that's quite a bit of a deterrent for just acknowledging their presence, that they're probably not going to steal. And it's kind of hard to say if they're going to steal, if they know they're going to steal, or if they don't know they're going to steal when they get there. They're either going to, they're coming to the store to steal, or they haven't decided to steal till after they're in there. So it's kind of a 50-50 toss-up as to what they're going to do. Another thing is, look, do you have the high dollar items right next to the front door? Do you have, $50 porcelain statues right by the door? Is it, if you were ringing someone, could someone pick one of those up? It might not be a bad idea to, look and see if you have high-priced items close to the door, because if you're busy ringing someone or you've got people waiting, you aren't going to know if someone just decides to pick something up and walk out. And a lot of times people will buy something and they'll steal something, because that makes it all right. And another thing, it's intimidating when you see something like this go on. You almost It's like, oh, did I see that? That person just put something in their purse. And what do? I mean, your heart starts beating, you're tingling, you're having that adrenaline rush. Just take a deep breath, follow them out the door, stop them and say, tell them who you are, ID yourself. I'm Jennifer Jordan, I work security at the Bond. I need you to come back in the store with me. Sometimes they'll come, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll run, sometimes they're so scared. Most of the time they're so scared they'll do anything you say. You know, if you want them to come back in the store, the Bond's policy is we always prosecute. I always call 911. They're always cited for theft. Every now and then I'll get that jogger, that sprinter, and it's usually a young teenage boy. And trust me, they can run pretty fast. And I'm getting too old for this. It's sometimes you just have to let them go. And if they did steal and you know you saw them and you'll get them the next time, because they always come back, no matter what. I mean, I have salespeople that'll call me and they're like, Jennifer, they took it, I saw them. Well, if I didn't see it, I don't make the stop. I'm the one that has to see it. And I'll look at the person, and if I don't get them that day, I'll get them next week. Because the minute that person comes back in the store, the salesperson will call me and say, this person's back. Bam, I go down there, and 9 times out of 10, they do it again. One thing I wanted to share with you is I would love to get phone calls from you. If you're across the street or down the way, and you think somebody stole and they're headed towards the Bond, I'd love to hear from you. And I'd do the same for you. If I thought somebody stole, or if one of my salespeople told me that somebody stole, and they left my store and they went into Good Taste or Benetton or Rattlesnake Dry Goods or whatever, I follow them down there, and I'll tell the person working there, I think this person stole from me. Again, I want to encourage all of you to call me. I'm at the Bond. I'll call you if someone's headed your way, if I think they stole from me and I didn't see it. And I'd love for you to do the same for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's some things I'd like to address pertaining to the questions that you guys asked. One of them was yours, just is how much force can be used. To give you an example, Super Save, when Super Save, which is now Tidyman's, they had an incentive program also for their box boys for catching shoplifters. It got a little bit out of hand, okay? This was a cumulative total at the end of the year, how many shoplifters they caught. The box boy got a VCR or something, TV, big screen. I mean, there was a lot of incentive there. And the officers, when I was on the street, would get calls, shoplifter at Super Save, they're all eastbound or westbound on South Avenue. And I'd laugh because I knew what to expect. And there would be 8 or 9 box boys chasing a shoplifter. Okay? They not only would chase the shoplifter, they would tackle the shoplifter and then jockey for who got right on top position. Okay? And then they want the officer to sign their little tally sheet for who got credit. Now, this is an honest story. Were they sued? No. Okay? Little extravagant. There were no box boys left in the store when they had a shoplifter. Okay? The thing you need to remember is do not jeopardize your personal safety, period. Okay? And like Jennifer said, there's not any merchandise in any store that's worth you getting hurt over, especially unless you're the owner. You know, but if they're paying you $4 an hour, there's no reason to get in a fist fight for anything, okay? Real direct, real firm approach. A lot of people recommend that you come up, you know, behind them, if you can. Grab them by the arm. Not grab them by the arm, but just, excuse me, in all in one fluent motion, say, you know, I'm so-and-so, I work with such and such store. Be very specific. Be very specific. If you know what you saw, and you saw that person put the cookbook in the backpack, excuse me, you know, I work security and I need to speak with you about the cookbook that you placed in your backpack. Boom, they're busted, okay? And I don't know what every store's policy is, but we love you to talk to the people. Set them down, isolate the people. Oh, now there isn't that many. Missoula is fortunate to have some security people that work in some of the bigger stores. And I realize downtown, a lot of 1 and 2 people operations, okay? It's very tough. You guys have to rely on designing your store, the visibility of your store, the use of mirrors, okay? And to be honest with you, and I'll give you another example, when Dale Malum owned the Coast to Coast Hardware, which is now Ace Hardware, I dared any of you to walk from the front door to the back door of that store without getting flooded, absolutely flooded with salespeople. I mean, I knew where the screws were, and by God, I had 6 people going to help me find a wood screw, okay? That is the best defense against shoplifters there is, and it's actually the cheapest. And for a business owner or business, any of the managerial staff, good customer service. And that's exactly what it comes down to. Good customer service is your best defense against shoplifters. Dale, I don't know whether he had a shoplifting problem or not. I had never, and I've been on the police department 13 years, and during the time he owned that store, I had never been to Coast for any reason other than an internal theft problem. And their bookkeeping was good enough to allow us to catch that person. But I had never been there, and I've been on the department 13 years for a shoplifter. Now, either they didn't catch him, and I have to tell you what, with that many employees, I find that hard to believe. They didn't have them, and I'm sure they did suffer losses. They suffered far fewer losses than most businesses do, because thieves have to watch and make sure that nobody's watching them. It's a paranoia, okay? If they think somebody's watching them, I mean, if the sweat's rolling down their forehead and they're shaking and looking, and all you see over the countertop is this, you know, that person's a thief. I mean, they're going to watch. They're looking for the clerks. They're looking for someone to watch them. And that's a pretty tough obstacle to overcome when the clerks are always standing beside you offering this great help. We're getting calls on the Crime Stoppers phone listing specific people, but the downtown, the small specialty shops are getting hammered, okay? And we know that. We don't know exactly, we've done some surveillance, and we've done some other things to try to catch them, the people that we think are responsible. But I'll tell you, to be honest with you, they're either moving the stuff or it's disappearing off the face of the earth. But I know, and the reason they come to specialty shops and small shops, anyone like to tell me why? There's no one working there, one person. The bond, Jennifer's got her hands full. That's just a surveillance nightmare. There's clothing racks. We go in there for alarms, and it's a mess. If you can refuse service to anyone, and you know, and this comes down to management. Okay, this is the boss's rule. Okay, this isn't anything the police department has control over. It's truly what the owners, the managers, management for your company or your business, what they'll allow. You have to approach them with that problem and then say, can I ask them to leave? And I'll tell you, if they say, well, no, I would prefer that you didn't, then do the best you can, okay? Because the loss, you're going to get paid the same dollar amount, whether they steal 10 pens or they steal 0 pens. The only thing that you're truly doing is trying to help the owner and the business itself achieve a profit. And if they're not buying anything, they're in there for a reason, okay? And that's not to get out of the weather, I'm sure. There's a lot of things that you have to address, and you have to address them from a management standpoint. Returns, return policies. Is it Target? Target, yeah. Target has the best policy of all. We'll return your merchandise one time without a receipt. And when we send you and give you your refund back, corporate will send you a check. There's no over-the-counter cash transactions. Fantastic idea. Every business has. The bond may be a little touched with returns on that, but the big companies are now realizing the old Kmart, we're going to serve and satisfy every single soul that's breathing. Bring it back regardless. To be honest with you, bring it back regardless if it's ours or not, and we'll give you money. Okay? That's what started the return thing. It truly was. When the stores started becoming more customer friendly, and I mean overly friendly, boy, they brought everything in. Basketballs that were balled and everything else, you know, it isn't holding air. They give them money back. Okay? Horrible policy. That's where you get the people that just literally walk and grab something off the hanger, walk right up to the counter and say, bought this yesterday, doesn't fit, looks like crap, and I need my money back. And they gave them money back. A return policy. And we're going to get into checks a little bit because we're going to allow Judy to answer a lot of legal questions. In this little handout, we threw this together. It talks a little bit about major loss leaders, and internal theft's a major loss leader, and it is in every aspect. Those are things you have to deal with by accounting measures, by policies and procedures that say, yeah, you work here at Pendleton, we'll give you 50% off. There's one person in the store, go ahead and just pay for the merchandise and let us know. Policies like that are just a dinosaur and a nightmare because people walk out with more stuff than they ever buy, even at a great reduced cost. Okay? Build-in safeguards. Usually what it is good accounting, really good accounting and inventorying of your merchandise. Judy will explain a little bit about the laws and how they pertain to your businesses and what you can and can't do. There is one page in here. Well, I also threw in a little bit of a narrative section that you guys can look at, and it's kind of interesting because they categorize types of shoplifters. The ones you encounter and the ones you catch are truly just the kleptomaniacs or joyriders or a lot of kids. Okay? The true professional shoplifter is very tough to catch. Very tough. Okay, we've had cases where, for shoplifters, there's a clause in the law that says there has to be an intent. And it's like, wow, you know, I didn't steal this. I walked out the store with a TV and a sewing machine, and I was on drugs, and I needed my medicine, and I'm wandering around the parking lot with a shopping cart. Okay? Denial, when we do interviews in criminal investigations, denial is a big part of that, how they deny what they're doing. And if they're putting on a ruse about a driver's license, number one, it's a law. If they didn't walk there and carry most of their stuff, they need their driver's license when they drive. But I'll guarantee you, they will have their driver's license or a form of ID the next time they come into your store and make a purchase. Truly, you guys lose without taking identification from checks. And to be honest with you, it's like getting into the same practice as the convenience store clerks, IDing customers for alcohol and tobacco. Okay? Very good practice, but it would stop. I'll tell you right now, it'll stop 80 to 85% of all forgeries and bad checks that you guys have to deal with. NSF checks, we can't do a darn thing with NSF checks, but the money's recoverable. We know who wrote those checks. Okay? It's usually the account holder. We can deal with that. But true forgeries, very, very rarely do they steal identification and then require pictured ID. And even if they have the person's driver's license, unless they're stealing lookalikes, I mean, it could happen.
Hi, I guess I'd like to start with the fact that I'm a prosecutor, and I don't know how many of you have had an opportunity to deal with prosecutors, but everybody interrupts prosecutors, judges interrupt prosecutors, defendants interrupt prosecutors, victims interrupt prosecutors, everybody interrupts prosecutors, so please feel free to interrupt me at any time, and I'll feel a whole lot more comfortable. I'm a little surprised that I recognize as few faces as I do in the room, and I guess that troubles me just a little bit because I've been a prosecutor for darn near forever, and I've been prosecuting crimes for a long time, and I'm a little surprised that I haven't seen more of you, and that troubles me because that's my job, is to try to make sure that Missoula's laws and the state of Montana's laws are enforced effectively, and sometimes that means going to court, and sometimes that means you guys feeling free to call my office. So I guess that's one thing that I'd like to share right now is my phone number, and I'd like you to feel free to call me. sometimes I feel like there's a bathroom message somewhere for a good wine called Judy Wang. But I would like you to feel free to call me if you have any questions, if you're wondering about a weirdo in the store, or you're wondering about how far they need to go, and you're wondering about a pinch, whether it's you're in the middle of it or something's just happened and you'd like to know how to handle it the next time, please feel free to give me a call. My number is 523-4617. It feels like I'm at City Hall 24 hours a day, but I am not quite. I do have voicemail there, and you can leave me a message anytime, and I'll do my best to get back to you. I'd like to talk about 3 things, and we're running a little bit short on time. I'd like to talk about some general legal concepts concerning theft. I'd like to talk about probable cause affidavits, and Willie handed you a blank, and I handed you a filled in. And the reason we have to do those in the first place, which is a case called SACO, and I'll talk about that. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about being ready for a trial and presenting yourself at a trial. First of all, legal concepts about the offense of theft. We have a theft statute. It's pretty straightforward in Montana. A person commits the offense of theft if the person's intent or mental state is knowingly or purposely obtains or exerts unauthorized control over the property of another, and then there's a couple of different ways that can end up, but generally with the intent to permanently deprive the true owner. One of the questions I heard when I came in is, what if somebody stuffs something in a pocket? Can we stop them right then? My answer would be no. Almost never. That's almost never going to be enough. I had a couple in my office just this week. The fact that they were in my office gives you a little bit of pause because people don't come in and have social visits with me. But the guy was describing how he goes into hardware stores. Nice guy, nice man. I don't think he's ever committed a theft or never thought he committed a theft. He said he goes into the hardware store and stuffs all kinds of stuff. He's got stuff in his hands and he stuffs in his pocket. And when he gets to the checkout, he empties all of his pockets out and he thinks that's acceptable and normal. And I said, whoa, stupid, bad, don't do that. Not a good idea. But there are people, this is an intelligent, nice, normal kind of guy, other than he's got a stupid idea about shopping, that thinks that that's okay. So is it okay to stop someone if they're in the store and they have stuff in their pocket? No. And some of the excuses you'll hear, and Willie kind of talked about this a little bit, people have amazing excuses, and if we don't have them certainly past the final point of sale, at least with their hand on their door, and frankly I like them just outside of the door, they're going to have amazing stories about how they planned to pay for it, they were going to pay for it, they were going to return, and if we don't have them dead to rights, we're going to be in trouble. Back up again to those, we call them elements in a crime. The defendant has to act knowingly or purposely. Those are defined in Montana law as being aware of their conduct or having a conscious object to engage in that conduct. What that's trying to eliminate is if somebody has some kind of seizure or is in a coma and they're thumping around and they accidentally stuff something in their pocket, we can't charge them with the theft because they didn't have the mental state. The mental state isn't that high, but we do have to prove that they knew what they were doing. And there are, and I don't mean to make light of people with seizure disabilities, there are some seizure disabilities that actually could eliminate somebody from having that mental state awareness. They could have some kind of a weird seizure where they didn't understand what they were doing, and that would be enough. Knowingly or purposely obtain or exert unauthorized control over the property of another with the intent to deprive the true owner. I've heard some questions among the group about people being concerned about lawsuits, and everybody's worried about lawsuits, and that's something we all need to worry about. Can I give you a blanket, no, you won't get sued? Absolutely not. Anyone can sue anyone over anything at any time, and it can be totally frivolous and it can be totally stupid. Does that mean they will prevail? Probably not. If it's frivolous and stupid, it's probably going to get kicked out of court pretty early on. But can I tell you a magical set of rules so that you'll never get sued? No, can't. But the general rule about stopping a shoplifter, the biggest rule overall everything is just be reasonable. If everything you do is reasonable and sensible, you're going to probably be okay. Could you be sued? Yeah. Would you win the lawsuit? Probably yeah. If you have a 5-year-old who stuffs a doorknob in his pocket and you tackle him in the middle of the store, throw him down and say, whoa, arrest, you're under arrest for theft, kid, this is terrible. Is that reasonable? No. Are you going to get sued? Yes. Are you going to lose? Yes. That's not reasonable. But if the kid comes to the counter with his parents and you say, you know, your kid's got a whole bunch of doorknobs in the pocket, Are you going to pay for them now, or what's going to go on? That's reasonable. You're going to be okay. Asking those kinds of questions, as long as you saw that, that's reasonable and that's okay. So, could you be sued? Absolutely. Is it going to be successful? Probably not, as long as everything you do is reasonable and it's based on what you saw and did. Which gets me to the probable cause affidavits. I gave you a little handout on the probable cause affidavits, and basically we start off with probable cause. Probable cause is not a new concept to all of this. Probable cause simply means, and it's pervasive in all of law enforcement, you have reason to believe that an offense was committed and reason to believe that this particular person committed it. It just means more likely than not, this person probably did this. You don't have to be absolutely certain, but you need to be pretty confident that an offense was committed and this person did it. We have always needed probable cause. If you stop someone and you didn't have probable cause, you're in trouble. There's a store in town, not downtown, who has a, what do you call it, the little gate, you know the store. The beeper alarm. And the beeper alarm will go off. And every time the beeper alarm goes off, whoa, stop, oh! And that's all. And there's nothing else. And 90% of the time, the beeper alarm is accurate and correct, and somebody did steal something. But if they happened to buy screws at this store 2 weeks ago, and they were dumb enough to put them in their pockets before they came back to the store this day, the beeper alarm may go off. That's not probable cause, that's not reasonable, and we do have some concerns about some of the stops, because the only thing about the stop, nobody sees anything concealed. The only reason for the stop is the beeper alarm went off. Well, there's a problem with that. That's not reasonable, and that's going to get us into trouble. That's not probable cause. But as long as you have reason to believe this person committed an offense, you've got probable cause. The Seiko case changed the way law enforcement did business for a whole lot of reasons. Let me give you a few facts of Seiko. Seiko happened in Belgrade. It was an employee theft kind of situation. An employee worked for a newspaper, and for some reason the employment was terminated. I don't know if it was related to this or not. Those facts just aren't in the case. The employer went to the police department and said, my employee stole some photo plates and some photos. Peace officer took some information, did some more investigation, and then decided to go before a judge, and in front of a judge swore out a ticket saying, this person committed the offense of theft. And the judge said, are you sure? Or, like, are you doing this under oath? Are you real sure? You know, are you swearing to this? And the guy said, yeah, I'm swearing to it. That's what happened. Case went on for a while. For whatever reason, the theft ticket was ultimately dismissed, I think on speedy trial charges or on speedy trial grounds, and the defendant in that theft case sued both the city of Belgrade and the original employer, saying, among other things, there were a whole bunch of reasons for the lawsuit. Anybody can sue anybody at any time for any reason, but one of the reasons was malicious prosecution and false arrest. And she said that there was no probable cause to prove that she committed the offense of theft. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court. Originally, the district court said, probable cause is okay. Cop swore, judge asked the cop if he really meant it. That's okay. Montana Supreme Court said, no. There was no probable cause. All we have is a bald assertion on a ticket that an offense was committed. That is, the cop wrote a ticket, which is the kind of ticket we usually write. Committed the offense of theft by taking 3 Twinkies from Ollie's and stuffing them in a pocket and going out of the store. That's all that the ticket said. Supreme Court said that doesn't prove probable cause, and this particular defendant has a cause of action and may sue both the city of Belgrade, the cop personally, and the employer, which would be similar to your stores, for malicious prosecution and false arrest because probable cause wasn't established. What they taught us in that case is just writing a conclusion on a ticket doesn't do probable cause. What we have learned from that case is that we have to do probable cause affidavits. An affidavit is a fancy word for just saying a sworn statement. Lawyers can never call anything something simple if they can call it something complicated. So we call it an affidavit. But it's simply a sworn statement. And the only thing that's tricky about the sworn statement is that it has to specify facts, but it also needs to specify those facts in a way that they aren't already conclusions. So what I mean is, if Jennifer was writing a probable cause affidavit, I saw Sam Slimeball in the lingerie department at the Bon stuff 3 bra and panty sets in his pocket. I then followed Sam Slimeball out past the final point of sale and out past the main door to the barn. I determined that the cost of the 3 bra and panty sets was $62. I observed that Sam Slimeball never paid for the bra and panty sets in any fashion. All of those say who made the observation and what the observation was. It's not a conclusion, which would be Sam Slimeball committed the offense of theft by stealing 3 bra and panty sets from the barn, but it gives you the step by step. And it doesn't have to be totally detailed. It doesn't have to be, he was standing in front of the bra and panty rack, and then he reached with his right hand to the bra and panty rack. It doesn't have to spell everything out in nauseating detail, but it has to have the main things in there. The police department, as a result of SACO, has had to write probable cause affidavits, and this isn't your problem, on virtually every arrest that we do, because we always have to establish that we had probable cause to do whatever we do. We used to just do tickets and say, well, that's good, and it's not good anymore. In the case of theft, it really didn't make sense for cops to write, Jennifer Jordan saw. It makes sense for the person who saw it to write it. Since we were already asking you to write citizen requests for arrests, it made sense to just simply convert the citizen request for arrest, convert the form a little bit, doll up the language a little bit into an affidavit. So you're saying the same things, you have to say it a little trickier and a little more carefully than you used to, but have it notarized, and that's an affidavit, and that's really your best insurance against a lawsuit. It's the city's best insurance against a lawsuit. It's all of us our best insurance against a lawsuit. And you just have to spell it out so that all steps are reasonable, and spell it out so that it's clear who made the observation. And so I gave you an example of a form that's already filled out. We sort of give you a hint in the form because we say, I observed at the beginning, but I still think it's a good idea to spell out each fact that was observed in the course of the stop and say who observed that. An affidavit has to be reasonable, and you have to swear that you believe it's true, but it doesn't necessarily have to be written by the person who made the observations. So if Jennifer has another person working security with her, and Sam Slimeball went into the dressing room with his bra and panty set, and Jennifer's watching here and then watches him as he goes out the store, she can have had her other security person go and check the dressing room to make sure Sam Slimeball didn't toss anything or maybe ripped off the tags and check for that. So part of her affidavit could be what she observed, and then one point would be, and Joe's security guy helper checked the dressing room and made certain that Sam Slimeball didn't leave whatever it was in the dressing room or didn't leave any kind of tags. But for the most part, it should be written by the person who made the observations, but it doesn't have to be. And certainly parts of it can be written by someone who didn't make that particular observation, but you have to say who it was that made it. Does that make sense? Because it's an affidavit, it has to be notarized. I know that's difficult and annoying. Our arrests have to be supported by probable cause. Ideally, it's notarized at the time of the arrest. If the arrest is not normal business hours, if you can get it into us and notarized before the next business day, that'll do it. We do generally, not 100% of the time, but generally we have a notary at the police desk in the city police department. I can't promise that that's 100% of the time, but we had our police desk people become notaries because of this problem, because even though I know this is really annoying for you, it's really annoying for us because we have affidavits everywhere and we're writing them all the time, and it's a major problem. But we have to justify that we made an arrest based on probable cause. And if you spell it all out, it's real clear. So we've always had probable cause. We've always had to have probable cause. We just have to document what we're doing a little bit better. Most theft cases, I know a lot of you have had obnoxious people, and keeping the obnoxious people aside, most theft cases, the affidavit's really pretty simple. They picked something up, they hid it in some way, and they went past the final point of sale and they never paid. And it was worth this much, so it was a misdemeanor amount. And that's really all there is. Quick lesson in jurisdiction. If an offense is a misdemeanor and it occurs in the Missoula city limits, it's going to go to municipal court, and that's Judge Loudon. The cutoff for thefts is $500. If it occurs in the county, and I don't think any of you are in the county, it's going to go to justice court, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony. So I think for your purposes, unless it's over $500, it's going to go to the Missoula Municipal Court and Judge Loudon, and please call. We do prosecute thefts, I think, pretty zealously, unless there's a problem with probable cause or there's a problem with proof, we push them. We generally don't give deferreds, which is an opportunity for someone to get a clean record. We do in some rare cases if there's something extraordinary about what the defendant's telling us about the offense or something. But generally, our usual policy is a non-food theft first offense is a $150 to $200 fine. A non-food theft second offense is a 6-month suspended sentence and a bigger fine. And a third offense carries mandatory minimum 30 days in jail. Unfortunately, our jail situation is such that that's sort of a joke. And we have a lot of violent offenders that aren't going to jail at all. So it's kind of difficult to put the property offenders in jail when we don't have room for the violent offenders. But that is the minimum sentence. It does go up each time, and we do take it more seriously. I've taken a case within this year. I took a Legend brand of cigarettes, 89-cent pack of cigarette to a jury trial, and the guy was convicted. We do take them seriously. We do push them hard. One other thing is to talk to each other. There have been a number of times when we've put felony theft investigations because Jennifer called Shopko or Shopko called Jennifer, and you guys coordinated, and if somebody's stealing one kind of thing, I hate to break it to you, but that's not the first time they've been stealing, and they may be out on a shoplifting spree for that particular item. We have a number of people who will do their shoplifting or the Christmas shoplifting or their back-to-school shoplifting in Missoula who are from out of town, and they come from wherever it is, St. Ignatius or Helena or Hamilton or wherever, and they come and they do their shoplifting and they go store to store to store, and they're real busy. And if you guys call each other and say, well, I had a lady wearing, she's pretty big and she's wearing this big green suit and it's real baggy. It was real baggy when she came in and it was a lot less baggy when she went out, and I couldn't stop her, or she got away, or I did stop her, or whatever. But coordinate with each other, be on the lookout, because they're not just hitting one store. Let each other know, and sometimes we can get somebody together for a common scheme felony, or sometimes you're just going to have the next storekeeper on the lookout for that person, and when that person walks into your store, you're going to be very friendly, and you're going to be very helpful, and you're going to stay very close, and you're going to prevent a shoplifting in your own store. A couple things about getting ready for a trial. If your case, somebody is stopped, the city police come, what my office does, getting ready for a trial, is send you a letter. Usually you'll get a letter at least 2 weeks before the trial. Sometimes it'll be more like a month. If there's any reason for concern or it's troubling for you to come, we're probably going to send a subpoena as well. Sometimes, some of you that have had the weird shoplifters in your store, sometimes the person is kind of scary, and if you ever want a subpoena, just let us know and we'll issue a subpoena. A subpoena, again, a fancy lawyer word when something simple would do just as well, is just a court order that you show up. If you've got somebody scary in your store, I'm going to give you a subpoena, and my second or third question is going to be, you're testifying under subpoena today. And then if this person or anybody else ever gets torqued at you about testifying, you had no choice but to be there. The court told you you had to be there, you were honest, that's the only choice you had. So we will always get you a subpoena if you want one, or if for some reason it's going to be real difficult for you to attend, we'll get you a subpoena. Before a trial, review all your notes, real obvious. Make sure before a trial, if you have any notes or a record of what happened, make sure I've got it. Don't bring it on the day of trial, because I have a duty to give everything I've got that's incriminating or not incriminating to the defense attorney and the defendant. If you have something, the law presumes that I know you have something, whether I have a clue or not. If you come in with a 10-page report, well documenting probable cause and reason to stop and everything else, at the time of trial, I'm going to have to hurry up and make copies, and then I'm going to have to go beg the defense attorney to not yell at me in front of the judge because I just handed it to them. So if you have a report, get it to us the second you hear about the trial, or better than that, even sooner, make a copy, keep your original, give us a copy of it so that we can know what you know before you come in. Before a trial, depending on how complicated it is, I'm going to want to meet with you at least once and maybe twice. If it's a complicated case, I may want to meet with you twice, once to write down your story, what you remember and what happened, and then a second time after I've prepared questions so we can prepare for a trial and you know what I'll ask you and you'll be prepared to give answers. We go over it that way because something that seems real logical and simple to me, real simple question, you on the stand are going, huh? What's she asking me that for? What? Huh? But if we go over it ahead of time, then if it's a dumb question, I can get rid of it. Or if it's a question that isn't worded as well as it could be, then you can ask me to rephrase it so that it'll make sense. I like to meet with everyone at least right before trial so we can go over testimony. At the time of trial, I gave you a list of tips for witnesses. A lot of it's just logical stuff. Wear something respectful when you go into a courtroom. Anytime you were wearing something you'd feel comfortable going to church, that would be okay. I don't think merchants would ever have a problem with this, but occasionally we'll have citizens with disgusting t-shirts come into the courtroom. Not good. We've had people take off their t-shirt and wear it inside out. And then there's having waist-length hair, if you're a guy, is not going to work. We're going to get you a rubber band and you're going to tie it, pull it back, because that's not going to be real effective testimony in front of a jury. So just be aware of your appearance. You're going to need to speak to a judge or a jury, and you need to just act respectful of them and the process. Review your reports, talk to us about it. We'll talk to you about what to expect, the order of the trial, and we'll talk to you about cross-examination. The way a trial goes is the state or the government, the party that has to prove the case, goes first, and then the defendant or the defense attorney gets to ask questions, which is cross-examination. And again, your tips for witnesses explain the best way to deal with that. But basically on cross-examination, the rules are don't ever get mad, don't ever volunteer. Like if they ask you a little question, don't go on and give them a whole lot of stuff. Don't try to outsmart somebody. You may have a good idea, but don't try to trick them because you may give them an idea that they hadn't figured out. And really, on cross-exam, the best answers are yes, no, and I don't know. And if somebody asks you a confusing question that you can't answer because you don't understand it, then just say, boy, I don't understand that question. Please ask that a different way, or please rephrase it so that I can understand. We do take these cases seriously. There are a lot of people out there shoplifting. They hurt merchants directly, but they hurt all of us because they make the cost of doing business go way up. And it's very expensive, and we're trying hard to work with you and try to fix this. We're not going to fix the problem, but we're trying to make it better and make it a deterrent that if somebody shoplifts in Missoula, it's going to be taken seriously.